This could be a historic night.
Oh, yeah? How so?
This could be a historic night. Duke is favored in the game.
Okay.
Depending where you look, 2, 3, 3.5, depending which book you're looking at. Duke is favored against Florida State, which means they have a chance to do something that has never happened in the history of the world. Duke has played Florida State in football 22 times. They have lost to Florida State in football 22 times. Duke against the Seminoles is 0 for 22, and it gets worse. In those 22 games, I went back and did all the math ahead of time, by the way, not on-air math. On average, against Duke in those 22 games, all wins for Florida State, Florida State has scored 48 points per game. In those 22 games, all losses for Duke, Duke has scored 16 points per game. 48 to 16 is the average result when Florida State and Duke face off on the gridiron. And now Duke is favored to win. If they take care of business in what I think is actually a great matchup for Duke, when you look at the strengths and weaknesses of each team and who's good at this and who's good at that, Florida State matches up very well for Duke. If they take care of business, they make history. If they take care of business, Duke makes history. Florida State is ranked dead last in the 17-team ACC. They are ranked 109th in FBS football when it comes to yards allowed per game rushing. 182 plus, 182 and change yards per game they give up on the ground, running the football. They give up 4.41 yards per attempt. That's not very good. One might even say that's horrendous. I believe, and having watched all of Duke's games, Duke is at their best when they can get the run game going. I think their strength in a lot of ways is Malik Murphy to Jordan Moore, right? It's that specific part of the passing game is the thing that I'm most confident in. So they'll make their plays in the pass game. But if Star Thomas and that running game can get going, Peyton Jones, if that running game can get going, which you would think it would because they've shown signs of life as a running game, and they're going up against one of the worst run defenses in the entire country. If they get the run game going, pair it with Malik Murphy a few plays, pair it with the Jordan Moore explosiveness, pair it with the very good Duke defense, which is best in the ACC as far as points allowed, if all of that comes together, it'll be the first win in Duke history against Florida State. That's not a small deal. You to level up, you need to get and I know Florida State isn't as good as they normally are. It's not like a win this year would mean the same as a win in 1997. But a win is a win. Getting the metaphorical monkey off your back, getting off the schneid is getting off the schneid no matter how you do it. Right? If somebody's like 0 for 17 against Greg Maddux in their career, and then Greg Maddux slips and throws a softball pitch down the middle, it's not like they're going to go, well, this one doesn't count. No, they're going to try to hit that thing 6 rows into the stands. Florida State may be slipping this year. Hit it 6 rows into the stands. Manny Diaz, who was actually on Next Up, the one of the morning shows you can hear here on 99.9 The Fan, hosted by Paul Ihander, produced by Graham Hill, every weekday, 9 a.m. here on 99.9 The Fan. Manny Diaz joined the show and did highlight that Florida State is better than what their record shows.
Well, first of all, this is a very talented football team. They're a good team with a bad record, and they have been finding their chemistry. And I think, to your point, I agree. I think Glenn. They felt like they had a spark that maybe didn't see in the 4 games previous. And when you're at a place like Florida State, you're going to have skill around you. You're going to have talented receivers, tight ends. They had a freshman tight end that caught 7 balls last week, and running backs. So they've got pros on their offensive line. So it's a major threat. And so again, we felt like we're off to a great start on defense and keeping the explosive play down to a minimum and doing a great job versus the run, because that's where their inconsistency has been in their ability to run the football. I
don't know if it's 100%, But it's pretty darn close to 100% that when a team plays a bad team, their head coach will say they're much better than their record says they are. You watch them on film, they have athletes over there. With Florida State, it's probably a little easier to convince everybody that they're a better team than their record says they are, because you can point to things like recruiting rankings. You can point to things like size and height, weight, speed, and those things, because Florida State's going to be impressive in those ways. But it takes about 2 seconds of watching Florida State to go, never mind. They look good walking off the bus. Never mind. I've been the team that looks good walking off the bus, and then never mind. It's kind of funny to be in that position. My high school basketball team, we won, I think, one game my junior year. But I'm 6'3", 6'4" at the time. I was the shortest guy in our starting lineup. We were giant for high school basketball.
Yeah, you sound like Duke basketball out here.
Yeah. Walking into the gym, other teams, oh my goodness. About 2 minutes into layup lines, never mind. It was very obvious we were not that good. We were just tall. Florida State has a bit of that. You're going to watch them walk out onto the field, and it's going to go, wow, they're bigger than us, they're faster than us, they're stronger than us. Then as soon as they start playing football, oh, wait, we can run the ball on them wherever we want, because they're one of the worst run defenses in the entire country. Hey, Star Thomas, let's get going. Handoff. That's what Duke has to do. The passing game will come. You can build that off of the run game. But if they're going to let you run, Star Thomas, big game. By the way, I do have some stats here on Star Thomas. Since he broke out in the second half of the Northwestern game, kind of those closing drives, he broke out in the second half of the Northwestern game. UConn was the following week. I have his rushing totals. He's averaged 112 yards per game since that UConn game. If you have someone that averages 112 yards per game, and then you have the worst rush defense in the ACC, and you're in kind of a must-win game, and you're playing a team you've never beaten, I'm starting to see how this puzzle piece comes together for Duke.